Hey everyone, it's Angela from Home is for Making. Tonight I'm going to be making some elderberry syrup, but I'm not making the normal recipe for elderberry syrup, which would include honey. And that's because I want this to be a sugar-free version, which those for people like me following a ketogenic diet or sugar-free or someone who's a diabetic can also enjoy. So elderberries, we know, have some wonderful health benefits that I'm going to go over after we get started here because this has to cook down. So the main ingredient in this recipe is obviously the elderberry. And I froze mine so it was easier to get the elderberries off. Seeing as I've only done this a few times, I'm not really sure that that's the best route to take, but that's the one I did. So then I simply separated the stems off of that after it's been in the freezer for maybe about an hour till they're solid, and then I pulled them off the stems. So I have a cup of elderberries, and we're gonna put that in the pot, but first we're gonna get the water boiling. And I have 4 cups of water, and I'm gonna turn that on high and get that rolling. And then we're going to add to that the elderberries and the ginger root. So if you don't know what ginger root looks like, it comes kind of like that. It usually is in like a little a bag with a bunch of little holes in it in your grocery store. You should be able to find it. I stress getting organic if possible, obviously, because we want the best ingredients going into something that's going to boost our immune system. We don't want to be putting any toxins in from sprays or pesticides. So go for organic if you can, especially with something as affordable as ginger root. Okay? So ginger root, we're going to peel that, and then we're going to boil the water, add the elderberries and the ginger root, and let that simmer down to about half. When that's done, we'll strain it, and we'll add the sweetener, which I'm going to use stevia powder. You can use xylitol, but I have stevia on hand, and I like stevia, so I'm going to add the stevia powder. I'm also going to add clove essential oil, thieves essential oil, nutmeg essential oil, and cinnamon bark for flavoring. You can choose to leave these out, but because I'm going to boost the health benefits by using essential oils, I'm going to add them in, but only once this mixture has come to being pretty much room temperature so that we aren't killing any of the good benefits of the essential oils. And I will go over what each one does. However, I am going to stress that you only use essential oils that are food grade, therapeutic. Young Living has a line that is just that. It's safe to take internally. You cannot use just any ones internally, okay? So as you go along with this recipe, make sure your ingredients are good so that it's actually helping your immune system and not hurting you. So I'll be back once this gets rolling. Okay, so it's clearly boiling. So to the boiling water, we are going to add the 1 cup of elderberries and get all that juice out of there. Then the ginger. I've peeled it. I'm just going to slice it a bit and hopefully not cut myself while I'm taping. And we're going to let this simmer down until it is half the amount we've started with. So it'll thicken up that way. And then once we're done with that, we will strain it a few times just to get everything out. And you can use these berries for other things after you extracted a lot of the juice, which is kind of crazy, but you can. So don't throw them away. You can make breads, jams, or I'm told jellies are best. Yeah, so we can still utilize the berries after this and still pull out some more health benefits. So all good. So there we go. We'll let that simmer down, and then we'll come back once it's reduced. Okay, so while the elderberries and the ginger are simmering, it's going to be about an hour before it can reduce down to half. I want to talk about the other ingredients in the elderberry syrup and why we have them in there and what they're good for. Let's start with elderberries first. Elderberries, you do want to be careful that you are not eating them raw. They can actually be toxic to your system and make you really feel ill if you ingest them before they're cooked. So whether you're buying dried elderberries or you're getting them raw like I have, make sure you're gonna cook them before you ingest them, okay? Also, you wanna get most of the stems off that you can. It is a hard task to remove them, so remove as many as you can, and we're gonna cook those down before using. So elderberries are really great for you because Well, let me first use a little disclaimer. I am not a healthcare professional, so you should always check with your healthcare professional before introducing anything new into your healthy or wellness regime. I am just sharing what has worked for our family and hoping it will bring some benefit to yours, okay? So let's go over the benefits you may receive when you are using elderberries. Elderberries are known for enhancing your immune system, which is one major reason why I want them in this recipe. It's also great for relieving nasal congestion. It's very high in vitamins A, B, and C. It's been used for centuries around the world for treating skin wounds and other things like that. It's known to be anti-inflammatory, and it is a natural support for those who suffer from arthritis. There are many other benefits, but we're just going to cover some that you may receive while taking your elderberry syrup. So I am not using raw honey in this recipe, but you can substitute it out for that. Most people will use raw honey when making elderberry syrup. I've chosen not to because I follow a ketogenic diet, and I wanted to give you a recipe if you're like me and you don't want sugar in your diet and you still want to have the benefits of this elderberry syrup. So I'm going to be using stevia powder, but like I said before, you can use xylitol as well. Stevia comes from a dried leaf, so it is very natural and safe. It's actually very good for you. So I will be using stevia, but if you want to use raw honey, there are so many health benefits you can receive from raw honey. I want to go over that as well, just so you're not staying shy away from it. If you can tolerate the sugar in your diet, by all means use raw honey. And I want to really highlight that it should be raw honey, local if you can, because it will give you the most benefits just because it's from your area. And if you're someone who suffers from allergies, they say that having that raw honey from your area will actually even help with those symptoms as well. So honey, there's many reasons again to take raw honey, and I'm just going to cover some that pertains to this recipe. So it's been said that it helps with upset stomachs, and allergies like we talked about. It's supposed to be great at killing germs and bacteria. It has been known to help open up your blocked nose, like if you're stuffy. It's an immune booster. It provides vitamins and minerals, and it reduces inflammation. And beside that is a wonderful natural sweetener. So it's very, very good. I encourage you to find a local beekeeper and get your raw honey from them. So I am using the ginger root in this recipe. You could definitely use ginger essential oils, but I like the ginger root. I use it quite a bit for different things at home, so it's something I always keep on hand. And ginger is known for helping your digestion. When I was pregnant, that was one thing I found brought a lot of relief, is raw ginger, whether it was in something I was eating already, a ginger tea, just steeped ginger root, lots of relief from that. So very good for, where am I here? Fighting inflammation, nausea, reduces pain, it fights infection, and it's also fantastic for detoxing. So that's something really good for this recipe as well. So I want to talk to you about the essential oils that we're going to use in this recipe, because I'm not sure how many people are familiar with them and or comfortable with taking them internally. So I want to cover what these specific oils do and why I use the brand I use, and why I encourage you to really look at what yours, where yours comes from before you decide to take it internally. So first of all, if you're not familiar with what essential oils are, they're basically the lifeblood of the plant. Essential oils are distilled from flowers, plants, roots, bushes, seeds, shrubs, all those kind of things you can get the essential oils from. They are very powerful. So one drop is can be anywhere from 100 to 10,000 times more concentrated than a dried herb. And just to give you an idea what that looks like, you've had peppermint tea before. One drop of peppermint can be equal to 28 bags of tea. So that's pretty powerful stuff. So a little bit, like a drop, goes a long way. So we really are not using a ton of drops of essential oils in this recipe because they are so powerful. So the brand I recommend is Young Living. And the reason I recommend Young Living is because they have what they call the seed to seal guarantee. And when I started reading about essential oils being something you could take internally, I was very nervous. I was used to getting mine at the grocery store or a big box store, and even some health food stores, but I did not know where those oils came from. I didn't know how they were made, and honestly, I just didn't trust the companies because I didn't know about them. When I learned about Young Living and how they had the seed to seal guarantee, I fell in love with the company. I love that they start with the soil, making sure that there has not been any pesticides on it. I love that they take the seed and it's something they have control of right from seed all the way until they put the oil and seal the bottle. So they own their own farms. They even hand weed their plants. So they are pretty serious when it comes to the quality of their product, and it just made me really comfortable with their standards of what's, good quality. And you can read about their Seed to Seal guarantee at www.seedtoseal.com to find out more about all that. I mean, there's a wealth of information there. I highly recommend you look into them, because don't take my word for it. I didn't do that. Do some research on your own and find out why you will love them as much as I do. So the other thing that I like about Young Living is they went one step further. They didn't just want you to think that, okay, they have Seed to Seal, they must be safe. They want you to know which oils are safe to take internally, because not all oils should be taken internally. So they came out with a Vitality line, or a Plus line it's called as well. And they have this white label on them, like this one. And so any of their oils that have a white label on this are safe to take internally. They have been found safe by by Health Canada and the FDA. Now, any oil that they carry that has a white label is always safe, also safe to take in their regular label. It's just that because of the laws regarding labeling, they can only be for one use. So the ones that are in a white label, that if it comes in a colored label, it is also safe to ingest. So I have tried them for a long time. I'm here to tell you about it. So, you make up your own mind. You do what's comfortable for you. There are definitely spices you could put in this recipe and not use essential oils, but I like the benefits that the essential oils also bring to it, more so than just the spice. So let's go over the oils we will be using tonight. The first one is cinnamon bark, which is this one right here. And it smells amazing. It makes great, I love adding this to my hot chocolate and my diffuser, but I digress. So cinnamon bark is anti-inflammatory. It is antioxidant. I'm reading the next one. It's great with respiratory support. It's microbial balance, so in your gut. And it fights parasites, and it can soothe your throat. So this is really great that if your throat's getting scratchy, you can put this with a little bit of honey, and oh my goodness, it is so good. I used to just take honey with cinnamon on a spoon and do that anytime my throat was feeling sore, and it would help. But now I go to this and a little bit of tea with a little bit, I don't do honey anymore. I do my stevia, but you can still put honey in there. And just amazing for the throat. So that's the cinnamon bark. Cloves is the one that is anti-inflammatory. And I don't have all the white label ones anymore, so it does show you which is which. You can look them up online and see what's there. Clove is there. And clove is anti-inflammatory, antioxidant. It boosts your immune system. It's antibacterial, and it's great for digestion and your oral health. So clove is fantastic to have on hand. And even your littles, when their gums are bothering them, cloves can be really helpful with that too. So Thieves is my favorite essential oil, and I use it all the time, almost every day, several times a day. And it's great in this recipe because of what Thieves is known for. And it's great at boosting the immune system. That's basically how I fell in love with it, because it helped us with all of our yuck that we were fighting every season when school rolled around, or after Christmas, just the things that make you feel crappy. It was great at keeping all that away. So Thieves is Great with helping with your respiratory health, your digestive health, boosting the immune system, improving bone health. It can aid in reducing sinus pressure, which is another one that my family really struggles with. So this has been just a lifesaver, and it reduces pain. And you can diffuse this. You can make little roller bottles of it, which is great, but it's great in this recipe because the flavor it adds and the boost that it's going to give you for your immune system. So the last one we're going to use is nutmeg essential oil. This little guy here. These just smell so good. If you like all those fall scents, these have all of that. But nutmeg is great at relieving congestion as well. It's also good for detox, stomach aches, stimulates your cardiovascular system, which is really good, and it helps balance your hormones. Now you could add orange essential oil or a lemon to this. I just didn't want a fruity flavor to mine, but you're more than welcome to play with the different oils that are, again, safe to ingest. Look at what they're good for, and then decide whether you want to add them or not, because maybe there's something you just don't need from one of those oils, so put the ones in that you want. Okay, so next we'll talk about why the syrup is good for us. So now knowing all the different ingredients and what's going into it, you can kind of get an idea of why the syrup is so good for your health. So why do you want this? Basically because it's high in your vitamins A and C, and when you're not feeling well, those are things you want to up. It's anti-inflammatory. When you have inflammation, your body is struggling with fighting off things. You want to get that inflammation down, and this is going to help you with that. It has antiviral properties, so obviously that's good, right? It's going to aid your immune system. That's really what we're after. And mostly it's preventative. You want to take this syrup as a daily thing to help you stay above the wellness line. You don't want to wait till you're getting something or feeling something coming on. You want prevention. Like natural stuff, the biggest key is prevention, okay? And that's why I add thieves to this, because that's a big one for me, this one, for prevention, okay? And then, of course, it helps combat the cold and flu. But best of all, it tastes good. So, what better thing to do than have something that's good for you and it also tastes good. So, elderberry syrup is just really good, like I said, in prevention and can aid in your wellness routine. It is also something that you can increase when you do feel something coming on. So I think the recommended dose for adults is somewhere around a teaspoon. There really is not a dose that's going to be harmful to you. Children, you're going to probably go from a half teaspoon to a teaspoon depending on their age. And again, if they're not feeling good, you can up that a little bit. Okay, so we are going to go back over to the stove in a little bit and see how that's coming along. Once it's reduced to half, I will pop back on here, go over the straining. I'm going to do that a few times, and then we'll add our sweetener and essential oils. Okay, we're back. I'm going to mention it's very important to watch your elderberry syrup while it's cooking down, because I walked away for too long and it started to evaporate on me. So I had to do some additional cooking down here. So hopefully we have something near the consistency when you go to do this. Keep an eye on it. So half hour to an hour, you're going to cook this down, and then you're going to strain it. So I did give it a quick zhoosh with this, mostly because I did cook it down so much. I use my hand blender. If you don't have one of these, they're awesome immersion blenders. You can get right in there, and there's so many seeds in this, so you really do want to get a fine mesh sieve. You could probably even use like a cheesecloth. That would be hot to try and squeeze out, so I'm not using that. But I'm going to strain through this a few times. So pour it in there. And like I said, we're going to let this cool down a bit before we add honey or your other sweeteners to it, stevia in my case. If you're using honey, you're going to use about a cup of honey. And you'll want to put it in just as it starts to cool again, so that the raw honey, you will reap the benefits from that. Stevia, it's not going to affect that as much. You don't have to be as careful with that. I'm going to squeeze this out as much as possible because we will strain out what's left again. You can see the ginger took on the color of the elderberries there. It's pretty pink, so I'm going to keep straining this a bit. I don't think you're going to want to watch me do that the whole way, so I'll be back as soon as I get it strained. Okay, so because I changed my stevia brand, I like this one for this type of thing a little bit better. So when you're using stevia, it's super sweet if you haven't used it before. It's an herb, it's a leaf that's really sweet. It's very good for you. I should really go over the health benefits of stevia. I apologize I didn't. But it's not going to amount to as much as if you're adding honey to this. There's a cup of honey, and this you're just going to use a couple spoonfuls. I find stevia to be very sweet, so I don't use a whole lot. This is a half tablespoon, and that's probably going to be more than what I want. And this tends to be a little clumpy too, as you can see. But no worries. And xylitol, you know, that might be something you want to use instead. A lot of times I even like stevia drops. I just was hoping this would add a little bit more bulk to the recipe. And also, a little bit more thickness. So I just keep mixing that in until it's well blended. Xylitol, again, is another option that comes from, I think, a bark, if I remember right. And it's got a lot of health benefits in itself. It is not safe around pets, so do be aware of that if you choose to use that for your sweetener. You can just taste it too and see if it's your sweetness. But this is what I got from this recipe, and then I'll just transfer that into a bottle. This is almost cool enough for us to add the essential oils. I just want to mix this in a little bit more and get rid of the clumps. We'll do that, and I'll be back because you don't want to see me stir. Okay, so now we're ready to add our essential oils. I just wanted to show you two of the berries. I'm pretty much squeeze them down to nothing, right? So you can set them aside, again, like I said, because you can use them for other things. So you're going to use 3 drops of your oils. You want to make sure that little small hole or in the orifice, you're not going to pick it up on the screen, but there's a teeny tiny little hole. That's actually where the oil comes out, not the hole you see in the center. There's a real tiny one. So find that, and it will make it easier for your oils to come out. Some of them come out quicker than others. So now I'm going to add the clove. Oh my goodness, that smells good. And then we're going to add the nutmeg. Ooh. Smells really, really good. And then thieves. Here we go. Mix that up, and you can add it to a cute little bottle like these. I should have had this out ahead of time. Sterilize your bottles. I'm all prepared tonight, as you can tell. These little bottles I picked up at the dollar store. You want glass bottles. These have these little almost same type of bottles I use for my kombucha. If you've never made that, check out my how-to video on that. It's super tasty and really good for you too. It just has where you can lock them down. It's fantastic. So we're going to mix that up, and guess what else I'm missing? A funnel. So let's grab that. Then you'll pour that into your bottle. You will want to keep this in the fridge, and then bring it out as you need it. It's super easy. A great thing to use to help keep you and your family above the wellness line this time of year. Yep, if I wouldn't have cooked it down so much, I'd have a bottle worth, this 8-ounce bottle. But I got a little bit. But that's okay. So you get the idea. There we go. Elderberry syrup. Take it for your health and to stay healthy this season, you and your family. Let me know how it's helped you, and come back for more next time. Bye for now. This is Angela from Home is for Making.